Hi everybody, and welcome to the month of February in New Media Marketing. This is just a short video to introduce myself. I'm Dr. John, and we're going to cover a very interesting subject. So let me just start by prefacing, it is freaking cold here in Orlando. I'm from Philadelphia originally and spent many years as an adult living in the Great Lakes area. We're talking cold. Milwaukee, Grand Rapids, Cleveland. So you would think, but I've been in Florida over 30 years and my blood is thin, so I can't handle this cold. And we're going to Indianapolis next week. I'll talk more about that in another video. We're going to Indianapolis next week. Didn't get to see my youngest son graduate from college because of COVID, but we will be seeing him graduate from the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department's Police Academy, and we're excited about that. So let me jump in and tell you what you've got to expect this month. For those of you that are in the degree program, you'll have me 2 times. Month 6 for new media marketing, and then month 9 for public relations. Now, these 2 courses actually work together because we're using the concept of earned media, meaning having other people tell our stories. So in this class, we're going to have either influencers, which are kind of like new media journalists, telling our story, or we're going to have brand ambassadors. Brand ambassadors are customers, but they're not only customers, they're fans, and not only are they fans, they're super fans. These are the folks that are so vested in the brand that they get upset with us when we do something wrong because they want us to succeed. They want us to be as successful as possible. And we're going to identify, if you pick a strategy of a brand ambassador, you're going to be looking for people that have the skill set, potential skill set of a new media journalist so that they can tell our story. But again, they're a special group of our customers that are super fans, and they become our brand ambassadors. So those are the people that are going to be telling our story this month. Now, when you get to public relations, we'll talk about both new media and legacy media and how we utilize those 2 channels in order to tell our story. But for this month, we're focused on the personas that I kind of just hinted at, and I'll go through them. Really, there's 3. There is the customer, the fan, and the influencer. And the unique thing about influencers, I said they're new media journalists, but we happen to share a greater audience with a new media journalist that's an influencer. So their audience will correlate, and our persona for a customer is going to be part of our target market, which is going to fit into their bigger audience. And the thought is that by them sharing their message with their audience, they are then able to take folks that are in that audience that aren't part of ours, and by speaking well of us, they are able to bring them to us in terms of engagements or conversions. All right, so that was a little bit of a giveaway as to what we're doing, but I thought it might work. Okay, week 1 is probably the heaviest work that you're going to have to do in terms of thinking, because we're going to cover 3 very important topics in week 1. We're going to cover plans, marketing plans, and campaign plans. Campaign plans look very much like marketing plans, so it's important to understand how to do a basic marketing plan, which this will also help you as you move through the entire program, because for your capstone, you're going to have to develop an integrated marketing plan, which is really, really big. So we're going to talk about plans. Inherent in those plans are goals, objectives, and SMART goals. And you're going to learn this month that the term goal and objective is really interchangeable. One, depending on the company or your client or yourself, you may say goal is just a generic statement that sets a direction. For example, I want to increase sales. That could be a goal, right? I want to increase sales. Some people will say an objective is where you take a goal and you objectify it. So if I say, I want to increase sales by 50%, now that's an objective in that particular school of thought. At the same point in time, I've worked for companies and I've worked for individuals that said, no, the objective is the directional statement. So when I say, I want to increase sales, they'll say, that's an objective. Now, if you want to make it a goal, you got to put a number to it. All right, I want to increase sales by 50%. Great. That's a goal. So they're really interchangeable because we don't have constrained vocabularies. And it really depends on if you're driving the conversation, if your client is driving the conversation, or your employer or a banker. Okay? We're gonna learn that what's important in this course, though, is that we use SMART goals. They have to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, the relevant constraint is something that usually causes problems for folks, and I'm going to help you with that right now. The way that we ensure relevant is by always asking the question, how are we going to do this? So if you have a top-tier goal and you say, how am I going to do this? And answer the question and then make it SMART, you know you're now dealing with a relevant sub-goal. So how do you ensure that that very top-tier goal is relevant? Well, the answer to that is basically the marketing funnel. And you can do research, and I encourage you to do research. I would search for what are the top marketing goals for 2022? What are the top marketing trends for 2022? And those type of keywords in terms of search, and see what type of research you can develop. However, I will tell you that all of those goals, even if you come up with the top 50 marketing goals for 2022, they can probably be boiled down into one of four categories. Is it lead generation is it brand awareness or brand lift? Number two, is it lead generation? Now, lead generation is kind of a microcosm of the entire funnel in one step. But what it really focuses on, lead generation, is we're looking to develop interest and engagement with potential customers because we're bringing them through the funnel. So if you think of it, we have to make sure that people can find us, that they know that we're there. Then we want to get them interested. We want them to engage with the brand. And at some point then we ask for the sale. We close the sale. We convert them. And then finally, we look for advocacy, where we want them to be bringing people to us and sharing all the good things that we did for them with other people. So again, the four areas of the funnel are brand awareness, brand lift, lead generation, conversion, and then advocacy. All right. I think I'm starting to heat things up here. So that's goal setting, and that's important. This week, you're going to focus on the top tier, which is the top marketing goal, which goes back to the funnel, and then a second tier where you begin to ask how. Now, that how will normally drive you into your channel strategies, and channel strategies can be anything from email, search, Facebook, Instagram, etc., etc. Now, there's probably going to be some overlap because when we get to week 3, you're going to be developing a campaign plan. So in terms of structure, when you think of goals, you have the company goal, which is the mission statement. Mission statement explains why the company exists today and what it needs to accomplish. And then you get to the top tier marketing goals, the second tier marketing goals, which are really, you're beginning to look at channel strategies, and from channel strategies you drive into your campaigns. Now you can look at channel strategies a number of different ways. You could look at new media as something that is all by itself as one category, or you could take new media and break it down into each of the different components. So whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. All right, so that is goals. And then the last thing we do in week 1 is pick whether we're doing a brand ambassador strategy or we're doing a generic influencer strategy. Fine. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. That's week 1. Week 2, you take those personas that you developed and you go out and you shop and find real people that you can recruit and develop a recruiting strategy for. You don't have to do that in week 2 in terms of the strategy. That's the campaign plan that you're going to develop in week 3. And then finally, so let's go back to our pyramid. We talk about the fact that we've got the top tier marketing goals, the channel strategies, the campaign strategies, and in the campaigns, what are the tactics that we have to use in order to make sure that we're aligned. And then once we identify the tactic, we can then identify the KPI, the key performance indicator, that we're going to measure in order to tell whether or not we're being successful. KPIs are always metrics, but not every metric is a KPI. And I talk more about that in week 4. So there you have it. There's all 4 weeks of new media marketing. We lay all the foundations in week 1. We go and we look at who we want to recruit in week 2. Week 3, we develop the campaign plan. And week 4, we begin measurement. We talk about what the measurement plan is. All right, last thing I want to cover with you is with regard to references, citations, and the textbook for the course. Whether you're doing a discussion post or whether you're doing an assignment, you need, as a graduate student, you need to have references and you need to have citations throughout your product. A citation is where you got the knowledge or the knowledge that you got. You're identifying that, hey, I didn't just think of this or I didn't just create this. I found this somewhere, and this is who or what influenced me to put this in this response. Then I can look at that and say, okay, this is where they got that idea, and I can look at the citation. Then if I want to do more research, I can go back and take a look at the actual source that you used, and that's your reference list. At the master's level, you should be doing 10 to 12 for each assignment. Discussion posts, probably less. And when I say probably less, I would suggest 1 to 3 references and as many citations as you need, which would be a minimum of 3 because we never have a reference without a citation. Write that down. There's never a reference without a citation. You should learn this in your APA paper writing in week 2 of leadership and personal development. However, we're doing discussion posts and slide presentations. Formatting is not as critical as when you do an actual paper. I want the functions here. So I want to make sure that you're not plagiarizing by you showing me the citations in your work, and I want to see the reference list. And by the way, references and citations, those are easy to format if you want to do APA and just learn the basics so that you never have to worry about that ever again. And you can do that by using a tool like Citation Manager. Now, the book for this course is Think Like a Rockstar by Matt Collier. I believe the date on it's 2013. Give me a second. I'm looking for, I have a soft drink. I had COVID at the beginning of January. My voice, it sounds deep now. It was even deeper, but it gets scratchy very quickly anymore. Much better. So you should have 10 to 12 resources. In this class, if you're using Think Like a Rockstar, and if you don't use Think Like a Rockstar, you will lose points because this course is built on the foundation of Think Like a Rockstar. You cannot do well. You can do well in this course, but you're not going to be perfect. You're going to miss certain things if you're not reading Think Like a Rockstar by Matt Collier. It's in the O'Reilly Learning Library. I've given you references. And by the way, and this probably holds true for any of your professors, if we have a link or we have a resource that is missing or not there, please let us know. I have seen where FSO, when we've moved forward, has gone back and somehow picked up a previous version where I've made changes. And consequently, there's some things that are broken in the new version. We go through them usually, but it's hard to capture or hard to scrutinize everything. And if you happen to find something, just let us know and we'll fix it. I usually try to fix it almost immediately. I've even gotten to where if I'm out and about and not working, but I see something like that come in, I can usually manipulate it well enough that I can change it on the phone, if at all possible. Sometimes it's not, and I have to wait till I get back. But I always try to take care of those things right away. So if you see something, say something, and we'll fix it. In this course, if you're using Think Like a Rockstar, you could probably end up with a few less citations than in, for example, public relations, where I use a multiple of textbooks, and you should have 10 to 12 on every assignment. And why is that? Because even in a book that's so tailored to the course, like Think Like a Rockstar, the learning comes when you're going through the book and you begin to have a question. And you say, hey, I want to do a little bit of research on that. And so you go down a little bit of a rabbit hole as far as research. That's where you're really learning, because then you're putting the dots together. You're connecting the dots. I think in one of my early videos where you get to know me, I talk about triple loop learning. And I'm going to do this because I want you to see the model. So in triple loop learning, we're talking about actions, assumptions, and context. So for the most part, throughout your bachelor's program, you were learning how to do things right. You were learning the right practice and right processes. And that's called single loop learning. Now, as you continue to advance with your education, you're now in a master's program, are you going to learn new things? Yes, you're still going to have some single loop learning. And the question is, are we doing things right? But we want you to start to think about assumptions and context. So the next level is, are we doing the right things? Are these the right things that we should be doing? Or are we wasting our time in doing these other things when we should be doing, so we're doing X when we should be doing Y? Where does that come into play? Well, right away, it comes into play when we think about alignment or relevance. Remember, a SMART goal is the R stands for relevant, where we ask, how are we going to do that? If we're just doing things and that item doesn't answer the question of how, then we're not doing the right things. And then finally, the highest level of learning, how do we decide what is right? Now, the reason I'm sharing all this with you is because I can give you, and in fact, Matt Collier gives you in the book, the right things to do. But you need to validate those assumptions with your research, and also validate that you're doing, that you know how to decide that that's the right thing. And that's where all these extra references come into play above and beyond the textbook. So at the master's level, you should be doing 10 to 12. On discussion posts, it's not because discussion posts have a very limited focus. You could get away with 1, 2, or 3. Okay? All right, everybody. My phone number is 407-267-8600. It is the best way to get a hold of me. You can certainly email me. You can certainly send me a note through FSO. But note that everything that comes through FSO, in the preview, they all look the same. Particularly when if I'm looking at email on the phone, that's all I see is a Full Sail FSO. So I normally open and take a look at what you're asking, but sometimes I miss something key. if you have a digital marketing emergency, if you have a new media marketing emergency, or you're just impatient, send me a text. If I don't answer, send me another one. Either my battery's dead or I'm in a no signal zone, which happens from time to time. I'm a type A personality. I like to get things back to you quick. So if I don't, something went wrong, and please continue to reach out to me to figure out if I'm still alive, or something else has happened. I carry my phone with me everywhere. Yes, I'm addicted to it. I remember back in the day at Disney, executives were given BlackBerries, and people would always talk about us with our BlackBerry as crackberries, because we were constantly checking email, even in a meeting where we should be paying attention. It was really aggravating when I was running the meeting and executives were on their crackberries. It was part of the Disney culture, I guess. Okay. I'm rambling, which means that it's time to bring this to a close. I hope you all are doing well in the cold. Think of me next week when I'm probably facing single-digit temperatures. The day that we're driving through Indiana, it is supposed to be 100% chance of snow. And for this Florida convert of 30 plus years, it is not something I'm looking forward to. At any rate, John Reneski, Dr. John, 407-267-8600. Have a great month. I think you're going to learn a ton in this class. Bye now.